Hello, friends. It's Lamont, your church coach. Thanks for joining me today. This is the first in a series of videos I'm going to be doing and sharing with you, and it's about best practices when a church is calling a pastor, when a congregation is seeking a new leader, an under shepherd, under Jesus Christ, who is the head of the church, to lead that congregation. And I'm doing this because we're increasingly seeing cases where there are bad relationships or there are divorces because either a pastor didn't quite account for what he or she got, or a congregation got someone other than who the congregation expected, and there's a problem. They end up in a divorce. It's messy sometimes. It's publicly messy, and relationships are damaged, and people are hurt because of that breakup. And it didn't necessarily have to be if some best practices were followed. There are traditions about the way people do things, and they've adhered to them for decades, perhaps. But I want to go over some best practices. And in this series of videos, you're going to hear more and more about different things like what a search committee should do, who they should be, what they should not do. But I want to start off today with 3 temptations to resist when you begin a search for a new pastor. 3 temptations to resist. The first one is to rush. Don't rush the process. There needs to be time to hear from God, who, in effect, determines who the next pastor will be. And it's up to a congregation to listen and hear from God and discern who it is God would have them to have as their next leader. And often it's not the most obvious person or the most obvious thing. God wants to do something to a congregation, to a group of people, and a body of believers in the process, and it takes time. God is doing something in that time. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Second, non-transparency. That's a problem. Yes, there are confidences that have to be kept in terms of whether someone's applying or seeking to be a candidate, so to speak, to possibly become the pastor. And there needs to be some privacy, respect, and honor, of course, but not being transparent with the membership, the congregation, about the process and how things are going, what needs to be done. It's a community of believers coming together. Have to honor that community, so transparency is critical. Third, not leaning to your own understanding. You may be part of the process, an integral part of the process, a big part of the process, but don't let it go to your head. It's not about you, it's not about egos, but it's about people working together, thinking together. You don't have to be alike, but you have to think together to discern what God's will is and see where God would have your congregation go and who they would have the congregation to call as the next pastors. So those are 3 important things. Tune into the next videos for even more detail and more specifics. And hit that subscribe button. Don't want you to miss anything. Thanks.